There she blows. There she is.
I want you to notice, Pete, episode 185.
Yep. It's going up, up, up. Let me tell you something. And we got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. You know, sorry, Jared, we haven't given you a lot of the info. No, I'm just kidding.
It's true. They haven't told me anything.
He's like a mushroom. We keep him in the dark and dump crap on him.
Well, let me tell you, what we got to hit, John, is what we were getting all hot and bothered about a second ago, but we got to limit it. So, Jared, can you give us a time frame on how long we could talk about the Musk versus Zuckerberg fight?
Let's give it 1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute.
All
All right, John, you go.
All right. Musk's going to fight Zuckerberg, supposedly, although his mom says no. But Zuckerberg is an up-and-coming jiu-jitsu expert, supposedly, although he is an amateur. He has won a tournament. He is giving up a lot of size, both weight and height, to Musk. And Musk has practiced jiu-jitsu, believe it or not, Pete, sumo wrestling, judo, and karate. So we'll have to see. I can't wait for this pay-per-view, though.
Oh, let me tell you something. They could get a lot of money that could go to some form of charity. Maybe it's the U.S. government. I don't know, but somebody. And I'll tell you what. I don't know. I mean, you got a cyborg going against kind of a semi-lunatic. So, it might end in a draw.
Well, Dana White has already said, I've spoken to both, and they're both in. This will be the biggest pay-per-view event of all time. And if Dana White says it, Pete, I take his word.
Yeah.
Question is, would it be in Dubai? Would it be in Saudi? Would it be in Vegas? Because we really don't know, where you would even hold such an event. But I guarantee it would be one of the weirdest. It's a perfect wrap-up for the last few years that we've had, Pete. A perfect wrap-up.
I would love for Musk to have the single strap thing like Bobby the
Brain Heenan.
Yeah, and wrap it around the neck and start choking Musk.
Well, shoot, Pete, down here we had Bad Bunny, who is, of course, was last year, 2022, the #1 performer in the world. Bad Bunny, reggaeton, and all of the, rock that he performs. He packs the stadium here for 5 nights in a row, Pete.
Says a lot
it's
about
amazing.
people.
Spanish-speaking areas of the world, you can't even get a scalp ticket to his shows. It's incredible. But he was wrestling with the WWE here a month ago.
All right, let's start. This is crazy.
All right. Well, welcome to the Rebel's Edge, folks. Jared is going to be putting up all the graphics you see on the screen. We'll start out with the macro minute because that's all that we give it. Just 1 minute of macro. Home prices, Pete, up again in April, signaling maybe a recovery. And we had both Toll Brothers and D.R. Horton for unusual activity yesterday. What do you got?
I got durable goods. They look pretty damn good. You got home sales, as you just mentioned. That looked pretty damn good. But I'm going to say consumer confidence. How about that number? I mean, I think Santelli damn near jumped out of his skin on that one today. It was fantastic. It's always fun. He's one of us. He's a great guy, Chicago guy. And he calls it like he sees it, John. And that confidence number was pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's nice to see that. Although, again, we see so many things, Pete, like Walgreens Boots Alliance or a number of other stocks that have said, hey, the consumer is already cutting back pretty seriously. Yeah. All right, let's get started with Fantastic Futures, Pete.
Fantastic Futures!
I'm going to steal Pete's from yesterday, which was crypto, because crypto up another $500 or $600 today, making another run at 31,000. So I'm going to say futures, Pete, the Merck futures for crypto, rocking. How about you?
I like it. I think that's a great call. We also have seen some activity in some of those minors, so that's something as well. There's always that follow along, and that follow along usually moves a lot faster. I'm going to give you Nat Gas, and here's why, John. You go back to the 1st of June, we were trading 217. Today, we're trading 280. Now, I think a lot of people lose sight of that because we talk about crude all the time. Keep an eye on this Nat Gas. This is starting to make a pretty powerful move to the upside. That's a much bigger move than I think most people really can comprehend, but that's a very nice big move, and we'll see if that continues.
Yeah, and even after this big rally, Pete, it was over $4 beginning of the year. Yeah. So it's making a recovery. But as you said, once we broke through that 325 level, Pete, it was kind of Katie bar the door. It was banging to the upside, or 225 per million British thermal unit. All right, let's start with ENVX. This is Anovix. It's basically an advanced silicon battery company. The U.S. Army gave them a big contract, Pete. And you know what? We had unusual activity in it just last week. Last week we had unusual activity. There you see it on the screen, Jared providing that. Nice. And Pete, those options, you know, if you bought the 14s with the stock going to almost $16 today, that's a huge move in percent terms. It's if you had 1,000 shares of it from 14,000, all of a sudden it goes to $15,880 because 1588 was where it peaked at so far today. But those options, Pete, just went boom. You know, we're talking a couple 100%. Bang.
Yeah. That's why we're there, John. I mean, you want to be in where things are, right? We talk about volumes all the time. I talked about it today on TD Ameritrade's site. We talked about exactly that. We talked about the huge volumes and some of the results. Not that everything works, because we know it doesn't. But when you do get a hit, oftentimes the hit can be absolutely a home run. It's a great company. U.S. Army is somebody you want to have contracts with. It's great for all the folks out there that are using it, John, because you know, they don't have the same dangers. They've got a lot more safety going on with this whole idea. It's less weight. All those things are positives. Better efficiency, that's a big positive. By the way, about a 20% short. So if you're wondering what's actually helping fuel this move, this sucker's going up, baby.
And by the way, folks, if you go to marketrebellion.com/bang, that's marketrebellion.com/bang. You can get a BOGO, a buy one, get one free. You buy 1 month, you get second month free. You get trades just like that. That was on the service just on June 16th. And here it is, June 27th, Pete, 11 days later, and you had a big bang out of that one. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's dive into another story, Pete, AEL. This is an insurance play. They confirmed what had been rumored yesterday and caused the stock to halt because, you know, all of a sudden it leaked out that maybe Brookfield Reinsurance was making a run at them. Turns out they are.
Well, it's at the highest level ever. So it's an interesting time, John, to make this decision, and pretty substantial move to the upside, 17%. It's not quite up at the level where they talked about. That's usually the case. They usually go a little bit below whatever that takeout price is going to be. Let the dust sort of settle, and eventually you get to that price. But a substantial move to the upside. Now, they do have a very interesting balance sheet, because when you look at the cash to debt, $2 billion on the positive side, not so bad. I'd like to see this company do a few things differently, but I'll tell you what, somebody out there, Brookfield, seems to think this is the time to acquire them. Very interesting how it all played out yesterday. Nice, huge move today. I think this thing's going to be pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered at 55. If you missed it, I missed it. But if you missed it, we missed it. Well, we'll go look for the next one. But a very nice purchase probably by Brookfield at this time.
Yep. This one is, I looked at the blog, Pete, to see if we had, because that's one of the features. Pete and I can, and any subscriber can look through and see if we had mentioned this one just ahead of this takeover. But they'd kept their lips pretty sealed, Pete, until yesterday anyway. Yeah. And congratulations to anybody who did have AEL. All right. How about Unity Software, Pete? It was up 8%, 10%, now up almost 14%. They launch a dedicated AI, artificial intelligence, marketplace in their Unity asset store. That is driving this stock significantly higher. And one of those things that when you hear about it, you think to yourself, well, I wonder if they had a big short interest or anything, Pete, because frequently stocks that are making moves like this, outsized moves, have big short interests.
Yeah, and this is a stock, John, that's been all over the map over the last few years. I mean, this is a stock that I know Gene Munster really, really liked this stock for all the right reasons, but that doesn't always mean it's going to unfold that way. So the stock was much higher. Now it's a little bit lower, but it's near 52-week highs, a little over 41. So it just shows you that this is very resilient, nice big move. This is where the stock was about a week ago or so, and now it's made this move right back up there. So pushing on 52-week highs. Pretty interesting to watch how this whole thing plays out. AI. All you got to do is say it, John. And they said it in this storyline time and time again. So, but it's great. And they talked about the tools. They talked about all this different stuff. The one issue that I would have, they do have some form of earnings, but at times, but it's pretty high, John. So the one thing I'd say you got to be a little bit careful of just from the fundamental standpoint is you're looking at about 100 PE forward. So it's not cheap, but this is AI, and this is something that, as we know, you just mentioned those two letters and people freak out.
Yeah, I got 3 letters for you here, Pete, and people are going to freak out if they're shareholders. WBA, Walgreens Boots Alliance. This one down 10% today. It's trading more than 4 times full session volume, and here we are halfway through the day. So it's hitting a new 52-week low today, Pete. 28.15 is that 52-week low. It's just higher than that right now, and they pretty much screwed up across the board. Third quarter report was a miss on several levels, and I know you don't like that.
Well, they missed, like you said, several levels. I mean, you look at the earnings; they look terrible. They talked about the guidance, the full year guidance, and that looked absolutely awful. It's closer to $4 as opposed to closer to $4.50. So that's pretty significant as well, John. I mean, just about everything you can. How about this? They basically continue to blame. Now, they did talk about the consumer, and the consumer's sort of strapped and all the rest of that. I'm not sure whether or not that's 100% true or not, but that's their claim. We've heard a lot of different stories from others, John, along the way as well. So that's why I say, that's kind of interesting. How about this, though? Management is blaming right now, well, and we aren't getting the same kind of dollars from COVID testing. What the hell are you talking about? I mean, it's 2023, for God's sakes. We've gotten 3 years past this damn thing. And these guys, they didn't think, well, something's got to replace this because, COVID is not exactly what it once was. And people ain't coming in for it. I don't know how many times you've walked in to a Walgreens of late, John, but they got a whole section for COVID testing and everything else. Have you seen anybody in it? The answer is no. Unless they're ghosts, you don't see anybody. So how they blame that on some of their issues that they've got, that's just foolish. That's just ridiculous. And I'm starting to think that management there is a little bit off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it was an extraordinary thing for Zoom, ZM. It was an extraordinary thing for Teladoc. The pandemic, Pete, really put a lot of money in a lot of people's pockets, but it took a lot of it away very, very quickly if you weren't quick to pivot once people got back out and were not locked down anymore. So this is one of those cases where I guess they just said, our earnings weren't really that bad. It's just the comparable year over year. No, it wasn't just that. Like you say, that's what he's blaming. But the fact that, guidance is down as much as it is, that's the telling part that I say tells you that maybe the consumer isn't as strong as that consumer confidence number was strong this morning.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's jump to the sports, John. We got sports. Yep. We're ready to rock and roll. And here's what we got. Shohei Ohtani's got a twin. Well, not really, but we've got a guy who looks a hell of a lot like him. Not Not necessarily as far as who he is, but size, ability, what he's able to do. How about this kid, Jack Caglione, John, from Florida? He's a sophomore. He's actually out of Plant High School in Tampa, Florida. I know it well when I played with the Bucks. It was right around the corner. I can tell you this. You got a kid who's 6'5", 245 pounds. He hammers home runs well over 450 feet pretty much on a very regular basis in college baseball. The kid is, he's young. He's unbelievable. By the way, great series, but kind of a crazy series because they went up against LSU. And on the second game, they took it to them. They took LSU to the woodshed, beat them 24-4. Well, LSU kind of wanted a little payback in game 3. They got the national title. They went 18-4, John. They also had 24 hits. I mean, they absolutely blew Florida off the map, and it shows you LSU in just about every sport, they are competitive beyond words. But this kid has 31 home runs this past year, 84 RBIs, and throws the ball when he's pitching, John, right around 99 miles an hour. So you want a guy who looks a lot like and wants to be a lot like, and they call him Jack Tani. So he does remind you a little bit of Otani. But Jack Tani, this kid is special. It's really pretty cool to see what he's doing. Now, he's doing it in college. That's a lot different than Major League Baseball. But it could be interesting because when you look at his size, very similar. When you look at his speed with the fastball, pretty daggone similar. And the kid likes to hit it out of the park. But they are very similar in so many ways because he refused to give up his pitching. He also refused to give up his batting. He said, if you want me, I want to be this player. So it's pretty cool, John. And by the way, Otani, he's leading the Major League Baseball again after he hit that 26th home run yesterday against the White Sox. So these guys are really hitting, and they are really showing us something special. But is this kid maybe the next Shotani?
Well, the kid is certainly a primetime player, Pete. And I know we're going to be talking about Coach Prime in a minute, which made me think of that. But anybody that can put this kind of a hurt on a baseball is somebody that will put butts in the seats. And that is something that has made baseball a lot more exciting. Pete talked about the pitch count, not pitch count, the pitch timer that makes sure that fans aren't just bored to tears sitting there. And it makes the game more exciting. But there's still no doubt that something people just love to see is some big player get up there and just drill the ball into the cheap seats in the outfield, or at least they used to be cheap seats. They're probably not so cheap anymore, Pete, but cheaper seats, let's say that. But yeah, I love the way this kid plays. I just tweeted out, about them getting this Game 3 in the College World Series because of that big spank that they put on LSU yesterday.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's amazing. It's incredible to watch these guys, and it's just fun. The talent level is just off the charts. Now we're going to go to prime time. And why are we doing that? We talk about Coach Prime all the time, right? He is the king of being able to sell. He is a salesman beyond salesman, John, and we all know that. And all you got to do is look at how did he do in the portal? He's number one. Colorado's number one. I mean, they got who they want. They did everything they needed to do, and Coach Prime is a guy who really transformed a lot about Colorado. Now, we'll see how that works with wins and losses once we get to the season. But before that, John, now primetime, for the people who don't know this, he's had some issues for a while now, health issues. Yep. And he's had issues where it's been very major. He's actually already amputated several toes on one foot, his left foot. Well, he went in again the other day because he's had some flow issues going on his left leg, and some of them on his thigh and the rest of it below his knee, but some major, major issues. And, the guy, you do have to respect this, John. I mean, you might not like him, you might not whatever, but he said, whatever God's plan is God's plan, but I need to get back on the football field, even if they have to chop off my foot. And I'm just sitting there reading that going, holy crap. Well, the good news is they didn't have to chop off his foot, but they did all kinds of major work on his legs, trying to get that blood flow. Supposedly it's already back and running pretty well. It's been 3 days. He got released. and we'll see how it goes for poor Prime. But man, that is some unbelievable, first of all, unbelievable surgeries. And this guy is a walker, John. He's a walker and a talker. I mean, you know, when he's walking around on that field, he is talking and he is inside of everybody's head, and he's doing this and he's doing that. And as he always says, I'm coming. We're coming. He always loves that little phrase because he is totally all in on Colorado football, and they are coming, and he thinks they've got a great shot. What do you think as a guy who's got a daughter there, but a guy who's going to be at some games, I'm sure, and seeing Coach Prime, maybe he might be on crutches or at least a cane, but I know he'll be on the sideline, no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah, I don't think the doctors could keep him off the field, Pete. And it is, you know, I guess a malady that affects a fair amount of people. We're not talking about, you know, the clots that most of us talk about, which are quite dangerous no matter where they are in your body. But his apparently are stopping blood flow to certain of those extremities. And my gosh, the fact that he's already had, when he was at Jackson State, those couple toes, like you said, Pete, removed because they just weren't getting enough blood flow and so forth. But as far as his bona fides as a coach and an inspiring coach, he's got that and then some. So I can't wait for the fall to be in the stadium down there in Boulder and to see him coaching. And I'm still hoping you and I can get down there for a game together and maybe get some an interview with Coach Prime and maybe be up there talking about him and maybe a very, very good Colorado football team this year.
Yeah. Well, like I said, John, they're number one in the portal as far as the 4-star, 5-star kids that they were able to sign and bring over there. You know who's number 2? We just talked about him, LSU. So LSU's got it going, man. They've got, you know, championships here, championships there. And that team of Brian Kelly is going to be a fun one to watch as well. So anyway, Coach Prime, we love you to death. We're glad that you're safe. We know it's brutal, but God, you know, your trust in God is amazing. So we appreciate you, bro.
Yep. I love to see that. And his family as well, Pete. The girlfriend posting pictures was pretty fun to see him out there with her, right? You know, right after he got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So folks, we thank you for joining us. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to get that BOGO, that buy one, get one free, if you go to marketrebellion.com/bang, you can get 2 months for the price of one. That's buy 1 month, get 1 month free. marketrebellion.com/bang. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. I hope you have a great one. Pete and I, oh, by the way, I got to say it, Pete. I'm going to be on with Charles Payne.
Yeah.
Bringing the pain at 2 p.m. today. We'll see you then, 2 p.m. Eastern on the Fox Business Channel.